Okay, so now we're looking at 4.7 homework, solving equations. So, this is a nice fraction because a nice problem because people see a 0 and think that the answer is 0. But remember, the whole idea is to get our variable by itself. Right now I see that I have a number on the right side and a number on the left side. So let's just get these numbers on one side here. So, because this is a minus 32, do the opposite. Add 32 to both sides. Remember, what you do to one side of the equal sign, you do to the other side. That will cancel, and that will cancel. You'll be left with 8 over 5x equals, well, 0 plus 32 is 32. Well, now, how do we get x by itself? Since we notice that there's nothing separating this fraction and this variable, we know this is a form of multiplication. So what do? The opposite, which is just division. And once again, you know what you do to one side, you do to the other side. X is by itself now, and what do we have? 32 over 1 divided by, remember this is division, 8/5. And remember, all we do now is just rewrite the first one, change division to multiplication, and we'll be flipping the second one. And what do we do when we multiply fractions? We'll just multiply across. So we get 32 times 5 and 1 times 8. Well, what is 32 times 5? 32 times 5 gives us a nice number like 160. And 1 times 8 is just 8. Remember, this is just division. 160 divided by 8. And we notice that we get a nice whole number like 20. Okay, let's look at this next problem. This is number 11 on your homework assignment. We have 2f minus 1 over 4 equals 7 over 12. Once again, a number on the left side, a number on the right side, this variable term on this side. So we need to get these numbers together. Minus 1/4, so what do? Add a fourth. We do the opposite, right? That will cancel. We'll be left with 2f equals, well, here we got 7 over 12 plus 1 over 4. We cannot add fractions unless we have common denominators. Here I got a 12, here I got a 4, so my LCD is going to be 12. So I could just multiply the second fraction by 3. Now I get 2f to equal 7 plus 3 over 12. Or 2f to equal 10 over 12. Well, how do I get f by itself? Once again, there's nothing separating these two. This number and that variable, we know that's a form of multiplication, so we just do the opposite. We're going to divide by 2. So over here, we're just going to divide by 2, and I can put that over 1. So f is going to equal 10 over 12 times 1 over 2, which is 10 times 1 over 12 times 2. Here I notice that the 2 and the 10 are both divisible by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 10 divided by 2 is 5. We get a solution of 5 over 12. So that is number 11. Let's jump to number 12. We have 7 over 10 equals negative 13b minus 3/5. So this is my variable term, negative 13b. I have a number, and I have a number here. Remember, I want the number on the one side. So this negative 3/5 I bring to the other side by addition, since it's subtraction. Once again, what you do to one side of the equal sign, you must do to the other side. That will cancel. I'm left with 7 over 10 plus 3 over 5 equals negative 13b. I cannot add unless I have an LCD. I see 10 and 5, so it's going to be 10. So I multiply this by 2. Multiply here by 2. So I get 7 plus, well, 3 times 2 is 6, over my common denominator. Now you see I got 10. Equals negative 13b. 7 plus 6 is 13 over 10 equals negative 13b. So what am I going to do now? Here there's nothing separating this negative 13 and b, so I know that's multiplication. Just do the opposite. Divide both sides by negative 13. So I have 13 over 10 divided by negative 13 over 1. See, this will cancel. Well, what is this? This is 13 over 10 times a negative 1 over 13. See, a positive times a negative, it's going to be a negative. And I have 13 times 1 on the top, 10 times 13 on the bottom. I see 13's cancel. Give me a solution of negative 1/10. So that is number 12. Let's look at number 13. So 13 we talked about in class. Remember what I told you? It says an expression, which is your expression for a person's blood pressure. So we could just say 100 plus, instead of age, I'm going to just say A. Let's make that an A. Over 2 equals blood pressure. What does it tell us here? The blood pressure is 138. 100 plus, let's change this A and put it a capital A. 2 equals the blood pressure is 138. Remember, we talked about this in chapter 2. If a variable does not have a coefficient in front of it, we know it is just 1. Now what I'm going to do next is just rewrite this so I have a fraction without the variable on there. So this can be your setup every time you basically do that. I just kind of want to show you how we get there. So now all we got to do is just get A by itself. Subtract 100 from both sides. That cancels. We're left with 1 over 2. A equals 38. Now what are we going to do? Divide by 1/2. Put 38 over 1. Divide that by 1/2. Which will equal 38 over 1. Division changes to multiplication. We just flip the second one. And now we can just multiply. And you see that we get a 1 to the bottom, so we can ignore that. Multiply the top. 38 times 2 will give us a solution of 76 here. And the last word problem, once again, I want you to notice it just says the weight of an adult is this. So we could say weight equals 11 over 2 times, instead of writing this height in inches, I'm just put a variable h minus 220. And they tell us that the weight of this person is 187. So we just replace weight with 187. And now, just like before, we're just going to solve for a variable. Number over here, number over there. So let's get the numbers on the same side, or just on one side. You usually want it on the opposite side of the variable. See, variables over here, so we're going to add 220. We add here, we get 7, 8, 9, 10, 407 to equal 11 over 2, h. Once again, we get h by itself by dividing. We're going to divide. So it's 407 over 1 divided by 11 over 2. Or we could change our division to multiplication by and flipping the second fraction. And now we know we're just going to multiply across. Well, what is 407 times 2? 407 times 2 is 814. And 1 times 11 is 11. And when we divide that, 814 divided by 11, should get a nice number like 74. Remember, that's just division. And that is your setup for 5 problems on Homework 4.7.